Welcome into the End of Money podcast for Breeders' Cup Saturday. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development. We're going to give you 2 podcasts for this Breeders' Cup Day to break it up since there are 9 championship races at Churchill Downs. And we will do 3 through 7 on this podcast. And then the next one will start with the Breeders' Cup Mile and give you the last 4 races and a late pick 4 ticket on that second podcast. So Jim will jump into the Filly and Mare Sprint at 7 furlongs, race 3, first Breeders' Cup race of the day. Marley's Freedom, the big favorite there from the Baffert barn. Going to try to beat her?
Well, I don't know how the 13 hole is going to affect her. I mean, if she was in the 3 or 4 hole, she'd probably be 2 to 5. She's 8 to 5 morning line. She may go off at something close to that. So I don't think she's any bargain outside at the 13 hole going 7 furlongs. The track is, as we're recording this, we've got a lot of rain, so we don't know what the track is going to be like. I'm assuming that it could be close to fast by the time they get started on Saturday. Hopefully they don't get any more rain on Friday afternoon. So Marley's Freedom is an obvious choice, but I'm going to try to beat her in here with a couple of horses that came out of the TCA at Keeneland. Golden Mischief at 10 to 1 and Shalon at 15 to 1 for Castellana, who was only a head behind Golden Mischief in that race. TCA is usually a good predictor of how the horses do in the Filly and Mare Sprint, and I think both those horses have a shot to knock off Marley's Freedom. But I think the overlay in the field is Mia Mischief, the 8 horse, 15 to 1 morning line for Santana, and 2 for 4 at Churchill with 2 seconds, always in the money at the distance. So she's got 7 furlongs down. The 8 Bells in the spring was a great race for her. So Mia Mischief at 15 to 1 fits the bill of a price that you'll never get on her again. The highest she's gotten, she's been a favorite in every race on the page except for one, and she was 3 to 1. So that was in the Grade 1 test where she only got beat by neck. So I think Mia Mischief here has a real shot at a big price. So I'm going to try to beat Marley's Freedom. I would use her in multi-leg wagers, but inside the race, I'm going to go with Mia Mischief.
Yeah, same. I'm on the same long shot you are. I thought the fact she's run 2 of her best races of her life at Churchill was noteworthy. That 8 Bells is, I think, the one to key off of. If she runs that race, she's right there. She likes this distance. There's a good bit of speed in here, but she has shown that she can run fast early and still finish, and I think that's important because they're going to really cook early, I think. That certainly helps Marley's Freedom. So got to use those 2, I think, on all tickets. And then after that, there's several different ways you can go. Finley's Lucky Charm's going to take a lot of money because of her record at Churchill. I just don't think she's what she used to be. I'm going to probably go against her. I think the 2 Wesley Wards could be intriguing to hit the board at a price, not so much as win candidates, but if you're looking to juice up a trifecta or something, Happy Like a Fool and Kirby's Penny. Happy Like a Fool particularly intrigues me because she was wide last time in the TCA stakes, and that wasn't where you wanted to be, and that was the first race since May, so she really ought to improve off that, and I can see her running much better, but don't like the pace setup as far as being bold enough to pick her to win it, but I think she could hit the board. And Golden Mischief would be another one I would throw in there. Maybe Stormy Embrace, too. She's got 3 wins at 7 furlongs is another one to mention. I'll throw out some prices that you could play around with in vertical wagers, but I think if I were doing a multi-race wager, I think I'd probably be good just sitting with Mia Mischief and Marley's Freedom. 4th race is the Turf Sprint. It's 5.5 furlongs. In the past, it's been a 5-furlong race at Churchill, but it's 5.5 now. And I did not have a strong opinion here. I ended up on World of Trouble. The horse has been really looks good since moving to the turf sprinting game. That 103 Beyer last time on a good turf, one on yielding turf before that. First time versus older. Irad Ortiz stays here off Disco Partner, who I don't think likes it, the soft turf, which you'll get. So I ended up on World of Trouble. Started to go to Conquest Tsunami, way outside at 14. I think that horse has speed to get position, and I think Pratt rode last time, so learned a little something maybe. Second off a layoff, so I like that horse too. And then some of the Kentucky horses I think are players in here. Buchero, nice win at Keeneland last time. Will Call, who was a fast-closing second in that race at Keeneland. I think both of those could be in the mix to win it, and certainly could be on the board. And Will Call, I don't like the post for a horse that's going to be trying to pass horses, but still, that's a talented horse that has won a turf sprint back on Derby weekend. And then the 2 females, Chantelane and Ruby Notion, I think are in top form. I know I talked to Scott Blasey, the assistant trainer for our Today at Keeneland show, when Chanteline was running her race at Keeneland. And she caught firm ground and ran big in the Buffalo Trace Franklin County. But I remember him telling me that they didn't think she was as good on softer ground, and it's certainly going to be some degree of softness. So that tempers my enthusiasm for her just a little. But world of trouble for me without a real strong opinion. How about you?
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of horses there. You didn't even mention the defending champion, Stormy Liberal.
Yeah, I'm going against the Californians because of the soft turf. We'll see.
Yeah, and I when I first handicapped the race, I agree, and I think Stormy Liberal is going to want firm turf, and Conquest Tsunami is the same way, but they're still very quick and they're very good horses. If the turf is really soft, that puts them at a disadvantage. Disco Partner has shown that he can handle soft ground. He's going to need a pace setup. A horse that you didn't mention, I like Rainbow Air, the 6 horse.
Yeah.
For Ortiz and Jason Service.
Good call.
That horse ran pretty good in the Turf Monster at Parks on September the 3rd on good ground. Had run well on good ground before and ran really well at Gulfstream. If he gets that Gulfstream form back, he's going to be a bargain at 6-1. And I think the 10 horse Savannah Gray is the only foreign horse that I'm going to use off that 117 time form at the Curragh off yielding turf and won a stakes race there, a Group 1 stakes race. So a lot of ways you can go in here. I think World of Trouble is a rapidly improving 3-year-old. Can he beat the older? I'm not sure. But I'm also going to put Stormy Liberal in there. I'd hate for him to beat me again. I didn't have him last year at 30-1. He won't be anywhere close to that this time, but I think he's got a shot. It's a wide open race.
Let's go to the Dirt Mile now, and you get a couple of Californians that look awfully strong on form. City of Light, Catalina Cruiser. Where are you going here?
City of Light and Catalina Cruiser. I thought this race was the most formful of any of the races that I looked at on Saturday. I would be, I won't say shocked because Breeders' Cup tends to have some results that you don't see coming, but I would really be shocked if one of those two horses doesn't win. And I like City of Light better just because of the experience. Three Grade 1 or 2 Grade 1 wins and place in others. Catalina Cruiser is getting awfully good, 4 for 4. City of Light got a better draw on the 1 hole versus the 10, so I would take a very slight edge for him, but I'm certainly going to use both of them when we come to multi-leg wagers. You don't get any prices here. Ferenz Fire maybe has a shot to knock him off. A couple people like Seeking the Soul. I don't like him at all to get maybe to get a piece of it, but not to win. So I think those two are obvious here.
I do too. What I like to do sometimes in a race like this, if there's two horses that I am really high on, is I'll try to find a way to get one of them out of the top two, and then you can really get some nice exactas. And so there are a couple of horses I think that are intriguing that probably what I'll do is just play an exacta key with City of Light and Catalina Cruiser over 7 Trumpets and Awesome Slew. And if I can get one of the two Californians to win and one of the two prices to come second, then I think it could be a nice payoff. 7 Trumpets is training lights out for Dale Romans and gets Robbie Alvarado, and so that's a local team there. And then Awesome Slew, Cassie horse that always been around in big races, but 3rd, 4th, something like that. But this horse is got Corey Lannery riding. Corey's going to take this horse to the rail and come flying up the rail, and may not be good enough to get to the top 3, but I think it's got a big shot to be in the trifecta maybe. And so take a look at Awesome Slew at a price. If you're looking for one other price play, maybe Bravazzo, but my win pick's going to be City of Light over Catalina Cruiser, but it's kind of a toss-up between those two. 6th race is the Filly and Mare Turf. They go a mile and 3 3/8, and that means a short run to the first turn for the outside horses in this 3-turn event. I ended up getting crazy here. I took Princess Yaza at 30-1. Just won a Group 2 mile and 9/16 race. She's run very well on very wet turf. First LASIK. And you look back to May, and she ran really well against Magic Wand, who's got a big shot in here. So the bottom line is I didn't have a real strong opinion, so I'm going to try to be bold here and get a big price in. Wild Illusion, I think, looks like probably the one to beat. That's the more conventional pick, the 3 for the Godolphin team, and training well from what I'm seeing. Magic Wand I would use too. I'm kind of going against all the team Chad Brown and thinking a European's going to win this. Azira, if that's how you pronounce that, out on the outside, I would like more, if not in that 14 hole. That's a killer, I think. So taking a big wild swing here, and I'll be spreading in the multi races for this one. How about you?
Yeah, I didn't feel good about anything here. I wound up handicapping it in this fashion. I took 3 Euros and 3 Chad Browns. I'm not going to let Chad beat me in a multi-leg wager, but I really couldn't separate his 3 horses. I like 4-Star Crook. I like Sister Charlie. And I like Arabian Beauty. I think Arabian Beauty at 10-1 has a real shot in here. I mean, she's gotten really good at the right time, and she could surprise some people in here if she gets anywhere close to that. The 3 Euros I used were the obvious Wild Illusion, the 3-horse who won on Art Day, would probably be my top choice in here. I did use the 10 Magic Wand, and I put the 14 in there. Unlike you, I don't like the 14 post, but Azira has been extremely tough in Ireland. So those 6 are the ones I'll use in multi-legs. If you made me pick a winner, I'd probably take Arabian Beauty at 10-1 if I'm going to get that kind of price, but wide open race.
7th race is the Sprint at 6 furlongs. You've got 2 horses coming back from last year in Imperial Hint and Roy H. Where are you landing in the Sprint?
Every one of these looks like, how do you pick these races? I settled on Limousine Liberal here. I know that it's a tall order to beat Imperial Hint and Roy H., the defending champion, but if Limousine Liberal ever has a chance to beat him, it's right here, because he absolutely loves Churchill, 6 for 8, 3 for 3 on a wet track. Going to love the off-going if it stays that way for Saturday. 6-1. Ben Colebrook has surprised some people during the Keeneland meet. He's a really good trainer, and Limousine Liberal seems to me that he's got a shot to knock him off, and he's going to be a lot better price than either one of those other 2. My other choice in here is Whitmore, who beat him the last time out in the Phoenix. Promises Fulfilled got a perfect trip there. I'm not going to use him. I'm going to say he's not going to get that easy trip here. And Whitmore, Ron Moquette at Keeneland said Whitmore was training as well as he ever has. So my exacta box is definitely going to be Limousine Liberal and Whitmore. Whitmore probably slightly behind Limousine Liberal just because of the affinity Limousine Liberal has for Churchill. Imperial Hint has a ton of talent, but 0 for 2 at Churchill. So he hasn't run as well at Churchill as elsewhere. And Roy H. is shipping for the West Coast. Does he bring that form to the Midwest? I'm not sure. He's tougher than nails. And I had him last year in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, playing against him this time with Limousine Liberal.
That record at Churchill scares me a little bit on the Imperial Hint, too. I ended up taking Promises Fulfilled, the 3-year-old, and I think 3-year-olds have historically done well in the Sprint. I think the key race for him is the one on July 28th up at Saratoga, a 108 buyer. I think he probably bounced off that race. And then the race at Keeneland, I'm convinced he just wasn't fully cranked, and won anyway, but just wasn't fully cranked up, and they were obviously pointing for this spot. So I'm going to discount those 2 and focus in on that July 28th race. And that 108, if he can get right about or better than that, certainly, I think he's a major player. So I'm going to use him with Imperial Hint, Roy H., and Limousine Liberal within the race, and key Promises Fulfilled top and bottom in exactas, and probably use all 4 of those and Whitmore in multi-race wagers. I will note that the Sprint does start the late pick 5 on the Breeders' Cup card. That's it for this first edition of our podcast. We're going to come back and do a second podcast that'll take you through the final 4 Breeders' Cup races, and we'll give you a late pick 4 ticket as well. That's the In the Money podcast, part 1, or KeenelandSelect.com.